Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good day, good moment to you, wherever and whenever you are on this sweet, wild, sacred earth. I am Julie Ling, and from the wild sweetness of my very own heart, this is the voice of wonder. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so happy that you're here. Even though I'm recording this now, I want you to know that I can already feel you with me, and you are welcome. Thank you for coming. As I play the flute, I invite you to settle in, to just notice your breath rising and falling like the tide, bringing in new freshness and releasing anything that no longer serves you in this moment, and letting the flute open your heart, your sweet, wild, sacred heart. Feeling yourself settle in as if you were a mist just sort of gathered up there. So often we spend time in that bad neighborhood of the mind, and our thoughts are like static circling around us, feeling them coming in for landing. All these particles like dust, like stardust that you are. We know our bodies are made up of the dust of stars, feeling them swirling and settling in through your crown, your head, your throat. And down through your heart and your belly, your solar plexus, which means center of the sun, feeling it soften into this warm orange glow that nourishes and does not burn. Down into your belly, that lower belly center that's orange, like the tiger behind me, the part of our body where we feel our senses. May you ride yours like the tiger behind me. And settling and letting yourself move a little bit as you settle into the singing bowl of your hips, as if it were the most comfortable, easy chair you've ever sat in. Resting in that, feeling how your feet are supported by the earth. And not only that, she's got you. You can't float off into the atmosphere because gravity holds you here. Feeling how your butt is supported by the chair. And your back is held, supported by what's behind you. Maybe even imagining someone you love is holding you. They've got your back. You're safe in this moment to come all the way here into this body and be all the way here in this moment. When I began this series of meditations on the 8th of April, almost 2 months ago, I think I spoke about it, and I certainly was thinking about this vision of a world with no other. And I realized later that even that was phrased in the terms of the negative. And if it's true, and it's my experience that it is, that the universe and certainly the subconscious do not hear not or no, then that is asking for what we don't want. And it took me a while to even be able to conceptualize what it was that I desired, what it was I would love. And I realized it's where all parts are welcome. All parts, not just the good feelings, the loving feelings, the expansive feelings, but also the contracted ones, the sadness, the grief, the hurt, the heartache. And we've been taught and we've learned so well, most of us, to push those away. I've spoken of this before. It's like the good ones we want to grab hold of, and the bad ones, or the ones that are more uncomfortable, we want to push away. And the curious thing is that most of us have been taught that the range we get, the range that's safe, is really narrow. We get the good feelings, but if it's too good, we don't know what to do. And we're afraid that if we feel too happy, if we own the happiness that comes to us, people won't like us. They'll be jealous. That must be nice for you. How come you get that and I don't? And that's so scary. And we are hardwired to want to reach out for connection to the group, for acceptance from the group, because historically, if we weren't accepted, we died. Like, this is normal. It's in our DNA. And yet, when we don't meet all the parts of ourselves, we certainly can't meet everything out there. It just doesn't work that way. When we don't meet all the parts of ourselves, when we cut ourselves off from sorrow and sadness and hurt, we let ourselves feel it this far, we also cut off our capacity for joy and for pleasure and for love, for belonging, for happiness. And that is tragic. And here's the thing, and I'm just going to let that settle in, be quiet and play the flute for a moment while you just sit with this possibility. What if it felt safe to meet other parts of yourself? What if you practice, just for right now, dropping into a part of yourself, noticing where it is in your body that maybe feels sad? Something someone said to you landed like a punch in the gut. You just, oh, and you didn't want them to feel that. Maybe because it was in response to something that you did or you said, you felt responsible for it. And that hurts. And we just want the hurt to go away. Of course we do. It hurts. And yet, when we push away a part of ourselves, it doesn't actually go away. It goes underground. There's a book written called The Body Keeps the Score. And it does. And it has. And it is. Emotions are energy in motion. And studies have shown that it takes about 54 seconds for the cascade of hormones to move through the body and be released. It's when we keep telling the story over and over again that we reactivate the emotion, and it comes up and comes up and comes up. And yet, if we can be present to the cascade of hormones, that is the thought in action as emotion in our body, and let it move through us, it dissipates. It's a story we tell about it. This is my fault. This makes me wrong or bad. This makes me less. I cannot bear for this person to feel this hurt. The reason that we cannot bear it often is because we cannot bear or meet our own. And when we find the courage, when we can set aside the story to meet our own hurt, not with a critic we've learned, not with a judgment we've learned. This is stupid. My mother used to say to me, it's just a problem to be solved, Julie. I don't understand why you're so upset. That did not help. Then I just felt wrong and bad. And she did the best she could. She just didn't want me to suffer, and she didn't know how to be with me in it. And the truth is that when we meet that part inside of us with compassion, It's able to expand. It's able to shift and to move when we meet it with love. And what I found, and I've practiced this a lot lately, when the critic comes up, it's something trying to protect me. And if I can meet it, oh, you're really scared. You are really scared. Meet that as a cup held up, waiting for me to fill it with love. And then ask, what's underneath this that feels even scarier than the pain of my own criticism, which is a way of controlling. I think of Pretty Woman. I say when, I say who, I say how much. Never mind that she's prostituting herself. That feels easier than feeling the pain and disappointment underneath. And usually that's what it is. It's hurt and disappointment. And when I stop joining the critic inside, which is often a projection and an internalization of what I'm afraid people out there have and may or are thinking of me, and say, you know what? Let them. I can't change it anyway. I'm going to graciously allow them to think whatever they think of me. And instead, I meet the part of me that's disappointed and hurt and say, promise it over and over again and forget and come back again and again. I'm so sorry I left you. They might be right. I don't know. But I'm going to stay with you. I'm going to meet you as if it's okay for you to have these feelings. You are beautiful in the midst of these feelings. I love you in the midst of these feelings. And I'm not meeting you just so you can get over with it. I'm meeting you in these feelings as long as you're in them. Because maybe this feeling that's just arisen hurts so much because it touches on an old wound that you've also pushed aside. And that needs to be met and felt. And underneath it is another wound that needs to be met and felt and loved. We have the capacity and the willingness and the ability. And if we offer our willingness, amazing things can shift. And when you can meet the part inside, then when it comes up in someone else, it's natural to want to meet them in it. I promise. The last 2 or 3 years, I've met so much pain within myself that when I meet someone else who's in pain, I know the experience of having everyone turn away because they don't know how to be with it. It's just too uncomfortable. And this practice can bring you to a place where when you encounter someone in pain, instead of turning away and offering platitudes, you find yourself leaning in. Oh, I see your beauty in the midst of your pain. And I see your beauty in the midst of whatever pain has come up in you. And I invite you to just for a moment, and if you can only meet it for a moment and pull away again, that's what you can do. And that's beautiful. And I will meet you in it right now. So I invite you to meet it and come back and meet it and come back and let the flute open your heart. Let the flute ease you in this process and just be with it. So I invite you today into this gentleness with yourself. Practicing, even if it's just for a moment, just for a touch, meeting yourself where you are. If your critic comes up, what if that's an invitation for you to meet that part of you that is so fiercely protective, it would rather whap you upside the head than let you feel the feeling underneath, which is more painful, which is more scary, which is more uncomfortable. Thank you. Filling its cup with love, and then meeting the part of you that is in pain. There's an old hymn I remember singing in church. There is a balm in Gilead to make the wounded whole. There is a balm in Gilead to heal the sin-sick soul. And I remember wondering what sort of a balm could heal anybody. I didn't know it was a different word, B-A-L-M. And I love that line of music, that thought. And I think that this is that balm that heals, is when we meet these wounded parts of ourselves with our own love, they begin to heal. And so many of these wounds were created in relationship. When we've done that enough, we can begin to meet the wounds in others with this balm that is compassion, that is being with, turning towards rather than away from. No, all parts welcome, no part othered, all parts welcomed, met and held. And this is different for most of us, and it's scary. And there's growth in the discomfort of it. There's sweetness in it. There's beauty in the pain. When you can meet yourself in your own beauty and your own pain, that is the balm of Gilead. That is where healing begins. When we welcome all the parts, and when we welcome the uncomfortable parts, the sadness, the hurt, the pain, we expand our capacity to welcome and meet and receive more joy, more love, more beauty, more harmony. There's an old line often quoted, love thy neighbor as thyself. If we can't love ourselves, if we can't meet these parts of ourselves, how can we offer it freely to anyone else? If we haven't loved ourselves at some level, which people always sense, we're giving to get. And that's not the same. And when you can give this to yourself, then you can offer it to another without strings completely. So this is what I invite you to today. And if it's just a moment, if it's just the imagining of it, that's great. There's a wonderful line in a Rumi poem I just love where he says, God accepts counterfeit money as real. And so if all you can offer here is counterfeit currency, that's the beginning. Offer that. And who knows, as you practice it, maybe it will become more and more real. And this is gold. And I offer this gold to you with a kind and loving heart. So today, go into your day, just noticing a moment where you can touch what's alive in you. Let it be a little more welcome. You don't have to make it. And if you don't know how, offer your willingness to meet it just a little more. When we offer willingness, there's no doing, and the resistance falls away. So today, a little more. I invite you to let your heart sing or be sung this song of compassion, of kindness, where all parts of you are welcome. I'm Julie Ling. Let your heart sing. Maybe a little more strongly as the day goes by. Have a beautiful and blessed day.